As we enter into a new decade, we enter knowing one great thing. The Rune Factory series is back and more alive than ever. It seems pretty weird to think about, honestly. A successful series that was a spin-off of Marvelous's Story of Seasons series grew to rival its own parent series, only to vanish off the face of the earth for 7 years due to the bankruptcy of the development studio Neverland. So as we leave the decade that produced only one mainline entry in the Rune Factory series, let's discuss how we managed to get back here, and what we could look forward to in the years to come. So for those of you who haven't watched my What Happened to Rune Factory video, let me give you a brief summary. Shortly after Rune Factory 5 was greenlit by Marvelous, the developers Neverland went into bankruptcy. For the most part, we still don't know what was the key reason behind their demise, but we can speculate a little bit. Some theorize it may be due to the poor sales of Rune Factory Tides of Destiny on Wii and PS3, and there might be some truth to that. You see, Marvelous owned the Rune Factory IP wholesale, and Neverland was only a contractor of sorts to develop the games, so the majority of the profits went to Marvelous instead of Neverland, which is the nature of the beast. However, this nature didn't seem to help with Neverland when they went bankrupt due to, poor financial planning. Despite their numerous successes with Marvelous in the Rune Factory series, they were hemorrhaging money by 2012 with their own projects. So the best guess would be, despite the money Rune Factory 4 brought in, it wasn't enough to cover their debts. Neverland seemed to fall victim to overambition and spending more than they needed for their games, as it seems they would have to acquire outside funds for numerous projects. When the money dried up and even Marvelous wouldn't bail them out, they had to file for bankruptcy. So yeah, that's a bit depressing, and for about 7 years, the series was put into a bit of a stasis. Or was it really? Honestly, the revival of Rune Factory was pretty much a small build-up into a great crescendo in that Nintendo Direct earlier in the year. The first sign that should have quenched everyone's fears was probably swept under the rug the most. But this was when Marvelous announced a Rune Factory 4+3 anniversary bundle for 3DS that released in 2017. This fancy bundle included a soundtrack and a new physical copy of both Rune Factory 3 and 4. Heck, even I missed this in the original What Happened to Rune Factory video. I honestly wish I could have touched on this in the original video, because there were so many people who tried to argue with me that the Rune Factory IP didn't belong to Marvelous, but the existence of this anniversary edition clearly shows they have full rights to the series. So what was the next big news that came out in regards to all this? Well, this is when series creator Yoshifumi Hashimoto was given the keys to his own studio, Hakama. Marvelous is known for giving their lead creators their own studio so they can focus primarily on their games without much intervention. Seeing as Story of Seasons was always Marvelous's #1 breadwinner, I was honestly shocked to see that we were getting not one, but 2 Rune Factory titles from this studio. I thought for sure we would get a new mainline Story of Seasons game from them, but that's a topic for another video. With these tidbits of news in the last couple of years, we were primed for the announcement of Rune Factory 5, but Marvelous really did go all out with this, and instead of just announcing Rune Factory 5, they also announced Rune Factory 4 Special, which we should be getting early next year, and don't worry, the game wasn't delayed. After all, Xseed never gave an official release date. But this will be a great game to hold fans over for Rune Factory 5, as we shouldn't expect the game to come out in Japan until later in 2020, and the localization being at the earliest late 2020, but realistically in 2021. So what does this mean for the future of Rune Factory? Well, considering Hashimoto-san has his own development studio, the sky really is the limit. If Rune Factory 5 is more or less a soft reboot of the series, the potential for future installments could be endless in the foreseeable future. Also, who knows? Xseed has a tremendous record of porting games to PC, so maybe we could one day see PC ports of older console Rune Factory games such as Frontier and Tides of Destiny. However, we should keep a close eye out for a PC port of Rune Factory 4 Special first before we can have any hopes of any other ports to come true. Another thing I would have really liked to hope for is a Rune Factory 3 Special, and maybe a true remake of the first Rune Factory. Adios knows I have a laundry list of problems of that game. A laundry list that you can watch in my retrospective of the first game. I'll have a link to that showing up right about now and in the end card if you're interested. But as we say goodbye to 2019 and enter into the new decade, the future is truly bright for the Rune Factory series. Now with a dedicated studio with the financial backing of one of Japan's largest multimedia companies, we should not have to fear for the future of the series anymore. I am truly excited to see more of Rune Factory 5 as we enter into 2020. But those are all my thoughts. What are yours? Leave them down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you all in the long wait for Rune Factory 5. Also, if you're new to my channel, finding out for the first time through this video, hey, be sure to subscribe for continued Rune Factory coverage, reviews, commentaries, let's plays, and more. Also, if you really love what I do here, consider becoming a YouTube member or a patron on Patreon like these guys here on screen. Until next time everyone, have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and overall, a happy holiday.